Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer, brought to you by Forge College. So, in our last lesson, we laid down the foundational scaffolding for identity management. But today, we're kind of shifting gears. Because, listen, you can have a perfectly secure identity system, right? But it means absolutely nothing if your Solana RPC nodes just crash because a massive horde of noisy, uninvited browser clients flooded your lobby. So today, we're fixing that. We're mastering CORS fundamentals and strategies. We're tackling the developer's absolute worst nightmare, those dreaded red console errors, so you can actually lock down your API's front door.
Here is our blueprint for today. We're going to cover 1. Meet your API gatekeeper, 2. The core CORS headers, 3. Simple versus preflight requests, 4. Defending Solana proxies, and finally, number 5. Preparing for rate limiting. Let's dive right in. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Meet your API gatekeeper, controlling the front door. I want you to think of CORS, which stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing, as your very first physical security check. Way before we verify cryptographic identities or signatures, we just need to know if a browser is even allowed on the property. So what is it exactly? Well, it's a protocol-level control. Your servers essentially express their intent using HTTP headers to tell browsers whether a specific origin is allowed to read a response. But here's the wild part. Even though your server sets the rules, it's actually the user's highly paranoid web browser that enforces them. The browser is the one staring down the locked gate, and it simply refuses to open it if the server doesn't explicitly give the green light. To really lock this concept in, just use this mental model. CORS is the gatekeeper checking visitor badges. A super restrictive gatekeeper stops random, malicious, or honestly just wildly broken third-party web pages from wandering into your backend. And if you're a Solana developer building high-performance dApps, this is a total lifesaver. It shields your RPC nodes from unnecessary load and kills those pesky automated retries that can instantly turn a minor network hiccup into a full-blown crash. Basically, no badge, the browser doesn't even let them knock.
Moving right along to Section 2, the core CORS headers. This is essentially your visitor policy.
Okay, let's translate that gatekeeper metaphor into cold, hard HTTP headers. First up, access control allow origin. That decides exactly who can read the response. Then you have allow methods, which dictates the HTTP verbs, get, post, all that. Allow headers controls your custom headers, and allow credentials permits cookies or auth tokens. Now here at Forge College, we always emphasize one massive red flag when building Web 2 integrations, combining a wildcard origin, meaning using an asterisk to allow literally anyone, and setting allow credentials to true. It is incredibly dangerous. In fact, modern browsers will just block this entirely to save you from yourself, because it exposes your API to any random origin on the web. The rule of thumb, always be explicitly clear about exactly who gets access.
Which brings us to Section 3, Simple versus Preflight Requests, Badges versus Permits. So our API gatekeeper basically has to juggle two distinct flows here. First is the simple request. Think of this as a visitor flashing a standard ID badge. It's a basic GET request with standard headers, and it gets them fast, frictionless entry. The gatekeeper just glances at it and waves them right through. But then we have the pre-flight request. This is like a visitor showing up and trying to bring a giant, heavy forklift into the lobby. They need a special equipment permit for that, right? The gatekeeper has to hit pause, check the logs, and verify privileges before letting them inside. Translated to network terms, the browser hits pause and proactively asks your server for permission before it ever sends that heavy payload.
So what actually triggers that forklift scenario? Well, here are your pre-flight triggers. You've got non-simple methods like put or delete. You've got custom headers, like maybe passing an X-client version for some user analytics. Or specific content types. And the biggest culprit here is application/JSON. This is a massive aha moment for developers. The very second your dApp tries to send a JSON payload or a custom header to your Solana API, the browser immediately fires off an options pre-flight request. It is not a suggestion. The browser makes it a strict mandate.
Let's look at how this plays out in the wild. Section 4, Defending Solana Proxies in a dApp Scenario.
Imagine your dApp needs to hit an RPC proxy to simulate a transaction. Because you're sending JSON, bam, it becomes a mandatory 2-round-trip process. Step 1. The browser preflight. The browser automatically fires off that options request. Your proxy looks at it, validates the origin, and says, yep, you're good. Step 2. Only after that successful preflight does the browser send the actual request, the post. Now, why is this a superpower? Because if your proxy rejects that very first options request, unauthorized third-party pages are blocked right there at the user's browser level. The malicious or just wildly misconfigured heavy payload never even reaches your server, keeping your precious compute cycles totally safe. Now, you might be thinking, doing 2 round trips for every single request? That's going to add a lot of latency. And you're totally right. That's exactly where Access Control Max H comes to the rescue. This header caches the permit. It basically tells the browser, hey, you're good for the next 24 hours, don't ask for a preflight every single time. It acts like a multi-day VIP pass for your trusted dApps, which drastically cuts down on overhead. But actually, scratch that. We need to talk about the trade-off here. Longer caching absolutely means faster performance, but it also means much slower revocation if things go south. If a dApp gets compromised and you need to cut them off immediately, a long max age means browsers will stubbornly keep letting them through until that local cache finally expires. So balance is key there.
Which perfectly tees up our final stop, Section 5, Preparing for Rate Limiting, Setting the Stage. All of this brilliantly illustrates why a tight CORS policy is the perfect setup for your next operational hurdle. Here are your 3 big takeaways to secure that perimeter. Number 1, restrict allow origin strictly, no exceptions. Number 2, handle preflights precisely, give the exact permissions needed and literally nothing more. Number 3, reduce your attack surface before you ever even start rate limiting. By gatekeeping effectively up front, you ensure that only trusted origins even make it to your server logic. And that means your rate throttles later on can be fine-grained and intelligent, rather than just getting bogged down filtering out the absolute garbage traffic that CORS should have already stopped at the door.
Which leaves us with a pretty critical final question. Once your gatekeeper successfully blocks out all that noise, how will you prioritize the legitimate traffic that actually makes it through the door? Think about that as we prepare for our next explainer on rate limiting strategies. All right, that wraps it up for today. I highly encourage you to go visit forge.college to dive deeper into the subject and explore a ton of other advanced Web3 topics. Thanks for hanging out and learning with us, and as always, keep building securely.